Chapter 1, Section 2. From Symptom to Sinthome. In the section From Symptom to Sinthome, Zizek delves deeper into the evolution of the concept of the symptom within Lacanian theory and its broader implications. The discussion begins with a reference to Lacan's use of the time paradox from science fiction, particularly Norbert Wiener's metaphor of indented time. It is used to explain the nature of the symptom as a return of the repressed that seemingly comes from the future. In the psychoanalytic process, symptoms are initially meaningless traces. Their meaning is not something that can be simply excavated from the past, but is rather constructed retroactively. Analysis is seen as a process of symbolization where the subject, through the work of the signifier, produces the truth about the symptom. This leads to the idea that the past is not a fixed entity, but is constantly being rewritten as new signifying frames are established. Zizek illustrates this with examples like the story of a time-traveling art historian in William Tenn's The Discovery of Morning's Mathaway. In this story, the art historian's actions in the past are only made meaningful by his future knowledge, and his intervention actually makes the past what it always was. This shows the paradoxical relationship between the past and the future in the constitution of meaning and the role of the subject's actions in this process. The concept of transference is also closely related to this time structure. Transference is an illusion that is necessary for the production of truth. The subject believes that the other, the analyst, already possesses the knowledge about the meaning of symptoms, and it is through this belief that the truth can be gradually uncovered. However, the truth actually arises from the subject's own signifier work and the process of misrecognition inherent in transference. Moving on, Zizek uses the example of the Titanic to show the shift in the concept of the symptom in Lacan's later teaching. The sinking of the Titanic was not a metaphorically overdetermined event, but also a materialization of the real, a traumatic kernel of enjoyment. It represents a symptom that resists symbolization and domestication. The fascination with Titanic's wreck is not due to its symbolic meaning, but to its inert presence as the thing, das Ding, that embodies a certain terrifying jouissance. This leads to the idea of the universalization of symptom in Lacan's later thoughts. Although everything can be seen as a symptom, and even woman is considered the symptom of man, the symptom, in this context, becomes the substance that gives consistency to the subject. It is related to the concept of foreclosure, where certain key signifiers are excluded from the symbolic order, and what is foreclosed returns in the real as symptoms. Zizek then traces the development of symptom concept in Lacan's work. Initially, the concept was seen as a symbolic formation that could be dissolved through interpretation. However, as the role of enjoyment in the symptom became more prominent, it was distinguished from fantasy. While symptoms could be analyzed, fantasies were seen as more resistant to interpretation. Eventually, Lacan introduced the concept of symptom to account for a certain signifying information that is deeply penetrated with enjoyment and cannot be easily analyzed or dissolved. The symptom is crucial for the subject's being, as it represents the binding of enjoyment to a signifying information. It is the way the subject avoids madness and maintains a minimum of consistency in the world. Identification with the symptom is seen as the end goal of the psychoanalytic process, similar to Freud's idea of where it was, their ego shall be. To further illustrate these concepts, Zizek analyzes literary and artistic works. For example, in Kafka's A Country Doctor, the open wound on the child's body is seen as a symptom, an embodiment of vitality and enjoyment that cannot be integrated into the symbolic order. In Wagner's Parsifal and its film adaptations, Anfortas' wound is also analyzed in a similar light. It is not just a symbolic representation of a problem, but a materialization of a symptom that is closely related to his being and the structure of this narrative.